mouth of the sound Jimmy Hart. Hey, check out my new tag team, baby, Monte and the Pharaoh.
Hey, Jimmy, don't forget to tell them about Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Well, you know what, I would, but you already did it.
It's Monte and the Pharaoh.
With Monte and Pharaoh. The Monte and Pharaoh Show.
Monte and Pharaoh, bro.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
The Monte and Pharaoh Show.
And you're watching the Monte and Pharaoh Show.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
With Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
It's Monte and the Pharaoh.
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 Monte and Pharaoh.
It's Monte and the Pharaoh.
And Monte and the Pharaoh. Oh, is it Monte and the Pharaoh?
Yeah.
Monte and Pharaoh.
The Monte and the Pharaoh Show.
Monte and the Pharaoh. To the Monte and the Pharaoh Show. Next. And it's Monte and the Pharaoh, baby.
Watching Monte and the Pharaoh.
With Monte and the Pharaoh. Monte and the Pharaoh. Oh, what a run.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Hey, cut music. When you want the best in professional wrestling, Long Island, there's only one place you're going to get it, right here.
Monte and the Pharaoh. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best. That, my friends, is just incredible.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
You've got the future Hall of Famer, that rocker, Marty Jannetty, and MJ in the house, and I'm sitting here with two more future Hall of Famers, Monte and the Pharaoh. We're doing that stuff, and we gonna rock it.
This is the Monte and the Pharaoh Show. Anybody who's been anybody has been on that show.
Straight to the top. We're living this life, not just dreaming it, we're doing it for real. Straight to the top. Working hard every day just to leave out that tower.
Welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast at our new home, Indie Music TV, here out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. Show number 2, Pharaoh.
2? What's happening?
That's what you got to say?
Yeah, 2.
2?
Well, we're not going to have a moment of silence for Ray and Black getting thrown off the building over at headquarters?
Oh, my
Jeez,
God.
boy, you're not sensitive this week. What's going on?
I want to introduce our guest, Mr. Andrew Anderson, star of The Wrestler, one of my favorite movies. Okay, in my top 10. I was telling Andrew earlier
10?
while you were late.
I think it's in your top 2.
Yeah,
Really? It's not. I think it's in your top 2.
it's close.
It's got to be. You
But
know
anyway,
every line in the movie.
I was well. There's a lot.
You
of good
know
lines.
every line
But I was telling Andrew, I know all his scenes too.
No,
And
I know you do.
It's like him sewing is incredible. It's probably one of the greatest scenes in movie history. So while these young bucks are producing, right?
Yeah.
They
Young
don't.
Bucks.
They don't.
Nice tie-in,
There you go. I
Mikey.
like that
Yeah,
little
it's
wrestling.
pretty good.
They don't know much about
Okay.
wrestling, right? But they did know that Andrew was in Gotham.
Okay.
Because they love their superhero stuff.
right.
So they felt like they were in comic book royalty, Mr.
Is that
Andrew
why you're
Anderson.
walking out over there?
Andrew Anderson,
What's up,
welcome,
guys?
brother.
I'm back. You know what I feel like? I feel like I'm on like freaking like the Ed Sullivan Show.
That's
or something
right.
over here,
You know,
How do you like the new tablecloth, Andrew?
the tablecloth is classy. I like you're on a stage.
I will give a shout out before we get to Andrew. My friend Miss Rose reached out and she said she loves the new studio.
Oh, really now?
Yeah, she
Look
did.
at you.
And she says she's digging you.
She's digging me?
Yeah.
Don't get jealous. Don't you
No,
start.
I'm not.
I have no intentions whatsoever. So, Andrew, got to ask you, since the whole world has completely flip-flopped and changed, what have you been up to? That much, huh?
These days, in this age of uncertainty, as they like to say, in this age of uncertainty, this uncertain time, you don't know. You're living basically hand to mouth.
Are you feeling like a lot of extra stress like many?
Oh yeah. There's only so much, History Channel you can watch, so much Netflix you can watch.
Dude, I never thought I'd be sick of TV.
Yeah, I'm sick of it.
I've done the total opposite. I don't watch any.
See, there you go.
There's something called news on those things.
CNN, the manure spreader, and NBC.
He's not wearing a mask.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I had
So,
to.
Butch, by the way.
No, not you.
I bought it. I brought it. I brought my mask.
Making the guy put on a mask.
No, I'm just saying. I brought my mask with me.
How's your wrestling brothers handling it? I'm sure you talk to your wrestling buddies. How's
everybody's-
the wrestling frat? Because
everybody's
traveling,
stir
that wrestlers
crazy.
do all of
Stir
a sudden.
crazy. Stir crazy. Every single last one of them. Everybody wants the country to open up. But at the same time, you know, we're in performing art, a performance art. So when you're in performance art, people are like sardine canned on top of one another, and that's how the virus spreads. So we're between a rock and a hard place. You know,
That's another thing. I call you, right? I expected Andrew to come in here all shrunken up. He's like, I'm losing all my size. He comes in, he's bigger than ever.
Well, no, you know what it is? It's 350 push-ups a day. You know,
Dude, you look great, man.
I'm trying
You look great.
man. I mean, I'm working with cables. I've never really done isometrics. I've never gotten to work with cables. To me, it was always heavyweight.
Isometrics works.
It does. It does. Isometrics.
What the you know about isometrics?
Well, you'd be surprised. Tommy Tone over here.
Really?
That's right.
He's
That's
a wiry
right.
sort. He's a wiry sort.
You'd
He's
be
got-
surprised.
All right,
I'm telling you, he's a
He's
wiry
a
sort.
wiry sort.
Jimmy's
He's
he's
surprised.
wiry. He's got those wiry
Yeah,
muscles.
when I
you know?
came in, he said, look, here comes trouble. What was Andrew Anderson's reaction the first time he saw Vince and AEW holding live TV events with no one in the crowd?
The WWE didn't translate as well as the AEW crowds did. The AEW shows did, because the AEW had the wrestlers in the crowd. So at least you had some kind of interaction. You had some kind of noise in the background. Somebody was reacting to the spots, to the moves, to the impacts, to the punches, the kicks, and the high spots. But it kind of fell flat with the WWE. I mean, those guys are all doing phenomenal. I mean, they're still amazing, and everything that they do is amazing, and hats off to them, and I'm glad that they're all safe. And that's the most important thing that I hope the WWE and AEW are taking care of their performers and the wrestlers and everything, you know, and the crew and film crew and everything. That's the most important thing. So if they're okay doing it and they're making money, that's the most important thing. But it will not translate to an indie crowd, because indie wrestling and small promotions like MLW even, and I don't even know if Ring of Honor is doing empty crowd shows, but it's the sponsorship. The WWE and AEW have big money backing them up, so they can do it. They have the sponsorships. They're not losing as much as they would from attendance. But I got to Louisiana after I had a great match, great night outside. I get the phone call in the hotel at 5 o'clock in the morning. Your aunt passed away. That was always tough. You know?
How impactful was your rant on you growing up with wrestling? How supportive?
Listen,
were we talking?
my aunt bought me my first Kiss album. Oh yeah. She bought me my first Kiss album.
She rocks.
Yep. The first time I met Jimmy Snuka, you know, before anything happened, I met Jimmy Snuka and a couple other guys, Metal Maniac and Ox Baker, and later on Jimmy Snuka would walk into the bar, which, you know, eventually, and he said, "I want to talk to you."
Do you think it's irresponsible and selfish of Becky Lynch to get pregnant after all the money the WWE put behind her? She just signed a new contract in January. Did she take advantage, or was she dishonest?
I don't think she was dishonest. I wouldn't say she took advantage either. That falls under the category of happens, I guess. You know, that's the only way I could put it.
I agree with the bumper sticker that he spoke of, but you got to plan this, guys. You really got to try to at least try to plan this. You're both making a fortune. You're both in demand by the company. You're two of the best workers in the company.
Yeah,
Let's be honest here.
A lot better than some of the guys, yeah.
These are two of the best in the business.
Yep.
And that's right, Indies. Those are two of the best in the business. Yeah. But anyway, they are. And couldn't you just maybe plan this out? You know, I mean, if I was Vince, I bet you Vince went, and this is exactly what I think Vince went.
I would find a loophole in the contract and let her go.
Yeah, I think that's what he should have done.
With the baby
That's right.
carriage
Listen,
and
we
the rat
what he-
just,
work.
probably-
Andrew, a company puts everything they got behind you. They
It's
promote you
rough.
to the moon.
Yep.
You hold them hostage for a new contract, which she did.
Yeah.
Okay, they gave it to her
Wasn't that sort of CM Punk?
a little bit, but
bit,
CM
right?
Punk didn't get pregnant,
No, he didn't get pregnant, but
right? But I mean, isn't there again?
Pat Patterson wasn't around at that time.
Go to sleep. Pro wrestling moving forward during the COVID-19 situation and airing, nobody in the audience, and has wrestling taken a hit?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. This is the Monte and the Pharaoh show. Anybody who's been anybody has been on that show.
We're talking about Dark Side of the Ring.
Yes.
So the Jimmy Snuka, Nancy Argentina
Yeah.
episode, which I thought was fantastic. Last time you were on the show, you said you spoke to Jimmy. Jimmy told you you didn't do it.
Yep.
After you sat and watched it, Change your mind?
Jimmy didn't do it. I don't believe he did it.
Now this is a personal feeling, though. Obviously,
Jimmy looked at me in the car, and he turned around. And he did this a couple of times with me, and I know he did it with other people too. When he drank, when he drank and he got a little high, smoked some weed. Everybody smokes weed, so he'd turn around and look at it and go, brother, do you think I killed that girl? And I would look at him. I'd be like, the first time I said no out of fear, I just kill me, But I said no, Pop, I don't think you did it, I don't think he did it.
why do you think he asked you? I find it strange that he would bring it up at all.
Some people said to me, he asked you because it must be weighing on his conscience. You know what it weighed? I think it weighed on him that he thought a lot of the boys thought he did it. I mean, I've spoken to Tony Atlas, and Tony said he was there during one of the altercations with him and Nancy, and he says that he saw a side of Jimmy that Jimmy would get really hot. I mean, and I've seen. Listen, I'm not gonna say Jimmy was a saint. I've seen Jimmy when he drank, and when Jimmy drank, he would hold on to the edge of the bar at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're trying to get him out, and he'd be like, "Brother, you know who you're talking to? You're talking to the Superfly." And at that point, you were dealing with the Lord of the Jungle.
Right.
You didn't know how to get him out of the bar, and you wouldn't with him. You know what I'm saying? He broke me into the business. He treated me like gold. He treated me good, and I loved him like a father. And he did a lot for me. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jimmy Snuka.
How about the honesty of Morocco saying he was going to do anything he had to do for Snuka because this was a massive paycheck?
It was a massive paycheck. Yep.
But it was honest. I mean, that's some balls just to say it, right?
But Don was always a straight shooter. You know what I'm saying? Don is always a straight shooter. He'll say he never had a filter. He'd say right out what he thought, and he wouldn't. He loved Jimmy too. Don't get me wrong. Don still loved Jimmy, but he wasn't going to lie. He's saying what he felt. That's how Don is.
Mike, who the hell is this? This Tom Segura? Am I saying this guy's name right? This
You
is
are.
a comedian, Tom Segura. He calls wrestling fans retards and says they're in the same category as flat earthers.
What's this guy's name?
I don't know.
Tom Segura.
Hey, Tom Segura, why don't you come to the Monte and Pharaoh show? We'll set up a ring over here. Get in the ring with me and see if it's fake.
Yeah.
Sign a fucking waiver and let me you from here to eternity, you piece of.
How's that feel, cannon mouth?
Maybe we can have two guys come down and do some interviews in Havana.
Man, could you imagine? Bringing in.
Would they let Jimmy in?
One pro wrestler. Jimmy, can you go to Cuba?
Si, senor. Studio. You're very close to Kevin Sullivan, obviously. Yes. He presented you with the CAC award. Did he ever share anything with you about his relationship with Nancy?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the whole Vice thing, they kind of vilified Kevin a little bit. They said he made him sound like he was a wife beater and involved in some domestic altercations. From what I understand and from what I've seen from Kevin with the police reports and everything, it was actually Nancy who stabbed Kevin. And Nancy was the one who actually was the one with aggravated assault on Kevin. And from what I understand, Kevin actually contacted Vice about a potential lawsuit. I don't know exactly what's been going on with that, but I know that sort of hit the fan with that. I mean, they vilified Kevin, and Kevin is, if you know Kevin, he's hardly that character they spoke of. And I'm sure, like once again, I'm sure, I mean, they're trying to drum up publicity and negative publicity for the dark side and everything, which is, it is what it's going to be, I mean, it's still, I don't know how to describe it. It seems like everything they've been doing so far has been one-sided. They want to paint one version of the story, but they don't give all the.
It's almost unethical in some cases. 'Cause I'll tell you, on my level, watching that, they made Kevin look really bad.
They did. I called up Kevin that night. Kevin said, "I know." His wife Linda said the same thing too. That's why I think they were getting ready to fire cannons back. I mean, come on. I mean, I know she stabbed him. I know that there was a tumultuous relationship there, and basically what everybody has told me was Nancy Sullivan was nuts. From talking to Kevin, I mean, I hate to say it, she could have pushed fucking Benoit to the brink of insanity.
Yeah, but forgive me for even saying this. It's like for the longest time I thought he just strangled her. Mm-hmm. But when you start hearing that he broke her back,
he broke her back. That's crazy.
Like what?
Yeah, there was something wrong with him then.
Anybody that could defend this guy in any level,
you can't defend him. What he did was wrong. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, Nancy wasn't no gem from what Kevin was telling me, but I mean, that was a really thing. he killed the kid. And then also other stories said that he injected the kid with growth hormone over the years and stuff.
Something about dwarfism or something.
That the
like
boy
that.
had it,
The
something,
boy?
you know.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I've also heard stories that Benoit had dwarfism too, something.
He kind of looked weird. He had like
kind
a
of
weird face,
short little arms
yeah,
and stuff
he's
like that,
weird
you
a
know.
little bit.
What, a couple
But look,
of bolts?
I would never take away his talent. You know, he was one of the most talented workers that have ever existed. You know what I'm saying? But
yes,
you know that bar none. You know, I mean, great athlete, amazing matches, unbelievable. I couldn't do even half that he used to do. I mean, he was phenomenal, but it just something wasn't right there with him. You know.
How hard is it to be around the boys when you bring, you know, your girlfriend, your wife? How difficult is this?
Benoit brought his wife around the business. Kevin Sullivan had his wife in the business. You know, I mean, he had her there. You know what I'm saying? He had her there. I mean, Kevin should have known. The way I look at it, once you have your wife there, like Macho Man. You know what I'm saying? Like Macho Man. Macho Man has his Elizabeth in, and eventually his jealousy with Elizabeth and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I could never really bring a girl around the business. I mean, I did date a girl that was in the wrestling business for a while in the 90s, and it didn't. I've seen guys bring girls around the business in the past, and I've seen. I don't want to single out anybody or anything like that, but I've seen guys literally go in with their girlfriend into a room, leave the girl alone, and then go to the bathroom, and all the other guys flock to her and try to hit on her. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got that camaraderie. And sometimes it flies out the window when it comes to a girlfriend.
It's like incestuous. I said it before. It's like, what are you doing?
You know, I see the guys like dogs sniffing. They smell some. I hate to say, they smell like they've never seen it before.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. You know, I mean, that's why I say, you know, never bring the girls around the business. I've always said that. You know, I wouldn't bring my girlfriend. I wouldn't bring my wife. I wouldn't bring my daughter around the business. My daughter has come to shows. I will say that. My oldest daughter has come to shows, but I would not bring any of them around the boys, you know, because of that reason. You know, I mean, it's just, you don't need that. You know what I'm saying? It's a recipe for disaster, as you've seen with Chris Benoit, with Jim Dowse, and then it happened to Kevin. Well, Alberto Del Rio, I heard,
what a charmer, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Had a
man.
good week, huh, Mikey?
Was that his real name? That wasn't
Jose A. Rodriguez. What is this?
Chikawa? I don't know.
Chicano? I don't know.
He was also accused of him threatening to take her son and drop him in the middle of the road.
That's what
somewhere.
I read. That's where I was like.
I can't stand the guy. Couldn't stand him.
I met him. He was a nice guy to me when like I said, like everybody, you know, you don't know who you're meeting. You know, I mean, I know he dated Paige, right? Or was he engaged to her or something?
Yeah, they were.
I know he dated
her in an airport,
my friend
right?
Ashley Massaro. He dated Ashley Massaro for a while. I know that. I really don't know much about the guy. I met him at WrestleCon a couple of times, and
Speaking of Ashley, did you know Ashley?
Yeah, I know her very well.
Can you discuss her at all?
She was great. She's one of my best friends. I mean,
how did her suicide affect you?
Oh wow, that was like totally. I was on one of her last appearances with her. She called me up and said, "You're doing Chiller Theater." Anyway, I think it was me, her, and Knobs. We did Chiller Theater. Me, her, and Jerry Sags. I don't remember what, but we did it together. And
any warning signs over there?
She was depressed. I mean, she was very down about her career. Guys, she told me she was going to make a comeback. She was so frail, so she got so skinny. You know, I mean, she was very frail. I mean, I couldn't see her really taking any bumps. I mean, she was smoking a lot, cigarettes and stuff like that. I mean, just smoking like every 10 minutes at a convention, she'd be out to have another smoke, have another smoke. I mean, she was.
I must be really depressed if that's.
She was worse than you, Jimmy.
She's worse than you, Jimmy.
She was. Listen to me.
Quote of the day.
She was. Oh
my God.
She was a doll. But like once again, you never really know. I mean, I didn't talk to her every day of the week. You know, I'd see her at the shows and would hang out. Would do conventions together. Would do shows together. She managed me on a load of shows when she first was released from her contract.
What is it about this business? Does it ever weigh on you? I mean, you see so many wrestlers get depressed, suicide, overdosing. I mean, you ever had a demon moment where you were just like, "What the hell am I doing? This business is taking me under now."
This whole COVID thing.
Okay,
that's been my demon moment. Because now, I sit and I think, am I going to come back from this? I mean. I'm 50. What's going to happen?
Right.
How much longer? I was in the twilight of my career already, and I mean, how am I going to come back from this? It's hard to say. I mean, you want to keep yourself in shape. You want to keep hoping that it's going to come back, but is it going to come back?
Right.
And if it does come back, what capacity? Like I said, I mean, indies are not going to have the same sponsorship. So how are we going to run shows? I mean, I hear guys doing stuff like in Texas in front of or in like the South doing stuff in empty arenas and stuff like that. What's the purpose? You're throwing your body around without a payday. You know what I'm saying? Anybody paying you to do that? I mean, to me, it's a job. It's my passion. It's what I love to do. But it's for an audience, whether it's 20 people or 20,000 or a pay-per-view audience of more, I mean, you just don't.
Right.
This whole thing that the WWE let these wrestlers go, oh, why are they? They're billionaires and Shane McMahon makes $2 million. Here's the deal. We're all living it. If you don't make the cut, you don't make the cut. This is life, brother.
Yeah, it's the way it is, right?
Right. It's like, stop the whining. And I'm sorry, if you're my son, I'm probably going to give you $2 million if I'm a millionaire. I'm sorry.
Man, they listen to me.
And I think he's worth it. What the hell do I know?
Whatever.
Listen,
Shane's worth a fortune.
Shane is worth a fortune. Shane is a hell of an athlete, man.
He sure
But
is.
it's not even the point. It's like the audacity to complain that the father is taking care of his children.
I know.
It's like, hello.
You can't complain about that. I mean, it's father and son.
Can you believe Ken Griffey Sr. raised Ken Griffey Jr. to play baseball and make all that money? What a jerk. Brian Pillman Jr. Yo, bro, Brian Pillman Jr. is not very kind to Kevin Sullivan. What are your thoughts on Brian Pillman Jr.?
I met Brian Pillman Jr. I thought he was very nice to me. I mean, I don't know what he thinks of Kevin and everything, but I'm cool with him. I think he's a great kid. I think he's coming along great. He looks freaking phenomenal.
He was green, and he was working with Kevin, and Kevin kind of like wanted to do a whole blood and guts match, and he kind of like really put him in a bad predicament. He didn't have great things to say about Kevin.
Oh, I don't know about that. I never really spoke to Kevin about that, but all I know is that I've seen Brian work. And he's pretty good for a kid.
Is he good?
He's good. I met him at believe it or not, at the big event in New York about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and a very gracious kid. I mean,
you think he's destined for Vince?
Oh yeah, he'll
sure
do
seems
something.
like it.
He'll do something. He'll definitely do something.
He's got it.
Really?
I think he's got his father's it factor.
Yeah,
absolutely.
he's got talent. The kid's got it.
But it's just not all talent, right? I mean,
True.
It's a name. He's got the name.
So you think just the name?
No, I don't think it's just. I think he definitely has the it factor.
I believe that
He's
too.
got something.
Is he a big dude?
No, he's not big by any
necessarily,
means.
but he plays big, doesn't he?
He can move. He can move.
Dude, it's the old CM Punk thing. I know how you feel about Punk, but Punk plays big. Jericho, not the biggest guy. Jericho plays huge.
Yeah, he's average height, average size.
Yeah,
but he can move. He can do things.
Spitting image of his father.
His father wasn't huge. Yeah. His father wasn't that big. His father was shredded.
His father was a small guy.
Yeah, but he looked great.
Yeah,
he looked great.
But he worked with everybody.
But he played big. He looked good.
Yeah,
sure. I
He's
agree.
A loose cannon,
yeah,
too.
I always said his father was the prototype for what's the guy in AEW now? The guy who went from the Shield to AEW.
Who? Ambrose Moxley?
Ambrose's character, the Dean Ambrose character, the Moxley character. That was Brian Pillman back then. Right. I mean, Brian Pillman's character, and he teamed with Steve Austin.
Down about 10 notches, by the way. Yeah.
But Brian Pillman's character with Stone Cold Steve Austin, the two of them were basically the prototype to what Steve Austin would become later on. Break the glass, come run out, beat the
sure.
You know what I'm saying? And Pillman was as a babyface, Brian Pillman Sr. was the guy they kept him on mid-card for so long that they didn't realize his talent, how great he was until he wound up teaming with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the Blondes, you know, the Hollywood Blondes, whatever they called themselves. They were fucking phenomenal.
They were.
They were holding their own against Arn and Flair and Steamboat and Dustin. I mean, there were some great matches in the early '90s with them. I mean, they were phenomenal, you know. And then Austin took it to a whole new level, and we know what happened with Pillman, but it's Pillman Jr. is just as good. He'll be just as good as the old man someday, if not better. You know,
That's a great compliment.
I think he's a great kid. You know, I mean, I don't know what happened with him and Kevin. I love Kevin like a father. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like me and Kevin don't like blooding people up in the ring. You look at what we do. We nail them with the golden spike, and
Well,
slice
again,
them all
Kevin
up,
is an older guy, right?
Yeah,
he's not going to fly around. He's got to do some cutting. You know?
Well, you know, the old Kevin Sullivan school of wrestling was you don't leave your feet. You know, so I mean. He hasn't left his feet in a long time, you know. I mean, he has bad neck, bad back, you know. So much wrong. Shoulders are really bad. So I can't see him doing any big spots anyway. He wouldn't do anything in the ring now anyway. He's 71 years old.
We want to see you on NWA Power.
Yeah, man.
I'd love to be on it. You know, I was talking to Dave Marquez a couple of days ago, and you know, we'll see what happens. You know, hopefully down the road something will happen, and before everything's said and done, maybe something will work out. You know,
How many more years you got in you?
Well, the way the COVID's going, who the hell knows? You know, I mean, I'd like to say I got a good 3, 4, maybe 5.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, you talked about people coming to the wrestling match. How about you as a wrestler? You get booked, just clear to go. How do you feel about going to an event?
Well, I'm more leery of, I want to say, conventions. The conventions are where, you know, I mean, you guys were with me at March 7th at the big event.
Yep.
That was this March 7th. That was right. COVID was just coming over the horizon.
Dude,
right
Sardine City over there.
Yeah,
bro.
and we were over there shaking everybody's hand. Now, I had hand sanitizer. We were hand sanitizing constantly, but still, people are breathing on you, slobbering all over your pictures and stuff like that. It makes you wonder. Now, I heard that some conventions are going to have glass panels up over the table with a slot, like a mail slot.
How would that, like...
What, like going to a bank
Yeah,
teller?
like, dude,
Yeah.
really.
Dude, just
like,
slide
why
you
would
on
you
the
waste your
ground.
time?
How are you going to take a picture with a glass booth?
No, it's terrible.
You know, where you going to get the... I mean,
terrible.
most of our pictures are people coming with selfies and me going... So,
One thing I noticed, too, which I did not know, you used to don a mask.
Yes.
Kind of liked it.
Yep.
I kind of liked it.
He used to wrestle as the Masked Superstar. Dennis Corluzzo came up to me one time and said to me, he goes, hey, I got an idea. I want you to do this. I want you to do Drew, I want you to wear a mask. I was like, well, what am I going to do? You're going to be the Masked Superstar. I said, what? Bill would kill me. Oh, no, trust me, Bill gave me the gimmick. Well, Bill didn't give him the gimmick.
Oh.
So Billy's booked as Demolition Axe on the show. I'm booked as the Masked Superstar. I put the gimmick on.
This is not good.
Bill, I first thing I did was before I even put the gimmick on, I went over to Bill. I said, Bill, they got me working as the Masked Superstar. Drew, I think it's great. You look the part. Do it. Bill was so gracious and so nice about it.
Thank you for coming on the show.
I always have a blast.
Thank you for being one of the realest people we've
Yes.
come across.
Yes.
Thank you for being a good friend to the show. I really appreciate
I
it.
love it. You guys help keep me on the map in my old age.
We love you. We love you more.
You know, so
We love
good
you
time.
more, Andrew.
Hopefully we'll do stuff in the future coming up.